So, have you ever wondered just how cold does it get here in the South Carolina Lowcountry? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because today is an abnormally cold day on the 4th of December here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We're going to talk about how cold does it get, some cold weather trends, maybe talk to a few people, and talk about some fun activities to do when it is cold here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. So if that interests you, don't go anywhere, because we are about to get started. Do you want to know everything there is to know about the South Carolina Lowcountry, whether it's Bluffton, Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, or Jasper County? Then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know about everything happening here. My name is David Simcox, host of this channel and a local real estate agent. I get calls and emails every day from people just like you looking to make their move here, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 3 days, 3 months, or even 3 years, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or you can book a Zoom call, all in the description below, so I can help you find your Lowcountry lifestyle. So when people come to visit me and they tour around in my car and we go see all these incredible neighborhoods, I often get asked, just how cold does it get here in the winter times in the South Carolina Lowcountry? So this morning, it's December 4th, 2024, and it's abnormally cold. So it usually doesn't get this cold this early in the year, but I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk to you about cold weather. It's actually 28 degrees right now. It's about 7:30 in the morning. I'm here at my house. You can see my boat in the background, and if I look down here, you'll see we've got some, well, let's flip the camera around. You can see we got ice on the grass, and you can see the breath coming out. It's 28 degrees. It normally doesn't get this cold this time of year. We're going to talk about how often it gets this cold. We're going to maybe talk to some people here locally about how they feel about the cold weather, and maybe talk about some of the fun activities that people like to do when it does actually get cold here. So if that's something that interests you, we're going to talk about all that and more. It's about 7:30 in the morning right now. I'm jumping in my car. I'm heading to the gym to get a workout in. Then I'm going to go to the office, get some real estate work done. And I'm going to take you along for the ride today. And we're going to be talking all about the cold weather. Now, spoiler alert, it's not going to be cold for very long. Next week, it's going to be beautiful weather again. But let's get that off the table, because I know that's a popular topic for some of you guys. Let's get going. All right, so I just got to the gym and I'm about to go in and get my morning workout. So I grabbed Coach Lindsay, who's our head coach here at May River Fitness. Lindsay, what do you think about this cold snap that we're having?
Oh my gosh, I'm freezing. So you can see my breath, right? I'm from Pittsburgh, and I grew up in cold weather and snow and ice and used to think nothing of it. But the longer I live here, the worse it is to me when it is this cold. It's pretty dang cold. But the good news is the sunshine is out still. Where I come from, usually if it's this cold, you can't see the sun for like weeks on end. So I love that the sun is still out, and I always tell myself it's not going to stay like this for long.
Yeah,
So it does get cold, but it doesn't stay like this.
It's supposed to be back up in the 70s next week.
Yes.
Anyway, we're in the high 20s right now. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
What are some of your cold weather activities when it does get cold? What do you and your family like to do?
My family, we're all like, none of us really like the cold. So we stay inside. We're watching Christmas movies and making Christmas cookies and stuff like that. But obviously the gym, that's where I like to be no matter what. So we have heat in there, which is awesome.
So that leads into the next question. What are your favorite cold weather foods?
Favorite cold weather foods? It depends on if I'm gonna be healthy or not. If not, I'm Italian, so it's pasta. Pasta, chili, like soups, stuff like that.
Cookies.
Yes, we make a lot of cookies for the holidays, so I'm trying not to eat them, just make them.
So some of the people that watch this channel are from Pennsylvania and up north, and they're like, I'm trying to get away from the cold weather. What would you tell them if they're like, I don't want to come to South Carolina and be in the 20s?
So I would tell them it's a completely different cold. I will say that. My parents were just down for Thanksgiving, and they were like, this is not cold. Even though temperature-wise to us it's freezing, it's a different kind of cold here than it is there. So even though it says 20, it's like 20 here is not like 20 there. And like I said, the sunshine is still here. The sun is still out, and it doesn't stay like this all day. It does warm up as the day progresses, and it's not going to stay like this for weeks on end. So it's still worth being here.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to go in and get my workout. Thanks for
All right, yep.
All right, so you'll have to forgive us because we just finished our workout here at the gym, but I've got Betty here, and Betty's one of my really good friends, but Betty is also a world-renowned golfer and a world-renowned golf instructor. So thank you so much for jumping on camera. And we're like steaming here.
I know.
So we're talking about cold weather today, and it doesn't get this cold very often here in the South Carolina Lowcountry, but when it does, it comes and it goes. How does that impact the golf environment here? Because this is like the golf mecca of the Southeast.
Well, first, the golf courses are affected because once you get frost, the superintendents don't want anybody walking on the grass. It can kill the grass.
Okay.
And it's harmful to the greens.
Okay.
As a player, I think the important thing is you have a cold day, it's fine. You get the cold wind. You know, you have to be prepared, dress in layers, keep your hands warm so you can swing, really kind of warm up a little bit more because get your, body parts moving. And also, I think when I see some of the men I play with and women, they get frustrated because the ball doesn't fly as far. So cold weather impacts the ball flights, and you just have to add distance to clubs to get to greens and adjust. Sometimes if the ground's frozen, it plays a little harder.
Okay.
Versus when the balls or the greens are more receptive in warmer weather.
So on a day like today, it was like 28, 29 degrees this morning, and then it's going to warm up, I think, into the 40s or so today, maybe 50s. So are they letting people go out first thing in the morning, or is it shut down for the entire day, or what's a day like today look like on a golf course?
It's usually a frost delay, so most golf courses open at 8 o'clock for play. Like a day like today, depending on how much shade, how much sun, they'll probably start tee times at 9:30, so they readjust the tee sheets.
Okay.
So
they're never really shutting it down. Are there some days during the winter here in South Carolina where they completely close the course for the entire day, or is that like not really very likely?
I think about 10, 12 years ago, you had a snow that came in.
Yeah.
It probably shut it down for the day.
Okay.
But the snow was gone by 4 in the afternoon. But it gets shut down more for rain and wetness because the courses can't drain, and then they become unplayable that way, where you do harmful things to the turf because it's so soggy.
Okay, so we're not letting the cold weather slow us down for golfing around here necessarily.
No, some people choose not to play because they don't want to, they can play every day down here. So taking a cold weather day off, go Christmas shopping.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
I appreciate it. All right, so I'm here with Stephen with the Bluffton Fire Department, and Stephen was nice enough to jump on camera. We're friends, and so he decided to give us a little bit of safety tips actually on how you can prepare and things you might need to know about if the weather does dip into these colder, snaps. It's not a normal thing for us to have this cold weather, but when it does get down into the 20s or 30s, what do people need to take into consideration?
Well, the number one thing we want people to do is stay warm, and oftentimes people will use heaters in their homes and connect those using extension cords or drop cords. Those items need to be plugged directly into a wall outlet. That way they're not putting excessive pressure on that electrical cord. Those electrical cords are intended for short-term use, and they're typically not rated to carry the kind of current that goes across there. So there's the potential for fire. The other thing we want to remind people is not to use any type of generator indoors or any type of portable heater that has carbon monoxide off-gassing. If it does that, then it could potentially have that silent killer, that gas that builds up in the home, and you'd never know it's there. And then lastly, think about making sure that your pipes are insulated, that you protect those. At night when it gets really cold, if you cover up the spigot outside and inside leave your faucets at least dripping, that way there's some water flowing through there, your pipes are less likely to freeze.
Okay, but you guys aren't necessarily dealing with like more car wrecks or anything because of ice on the road. We don't get much of that here.
No, generally we don't see too many issues with ice on the roadway. There's not enough precipitation on the ground, so that's not really a concern for us. But we ice on the windshield, of course, in the morning, that's a concern. We often see people who don't take the time to clear their windshield before they're getting into the car and getting on the road. And as a result of that, their visual perception is obstructed. And so we want to just make sure that they clear those windshields before they get on the road and start driving.
Okay. And I know you don't have to go into detail on this. I'm actually going to try to get with the sheriff's department later, but you did mention if people are in a situation where they're living somewhere where there is no heat or they don't have access to a shelter with heat, there are some resources as well where there's places they can go.
Sure. Actually, there are 2 locations currently in Beaufort County that are open. There's one on Hilton Head Island. There's also one on Sea Island. The actual address of those, the information can be found on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and the information's there with phone numbers to call in the event that there's a need for transportation as well.
Okay, so cold weather's not a major issue here, but there are just a few safety concerns.
I wouldn't say it's a major issue, no, but it is something that we're mindful of just because of the fact that it's not typical that we see temperatures in the 20s and 30s overnight like we've been seeing.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for jumping on camera, and I
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, so I'm here with my friend Andrew, and Andrew owns Sweet Marsh Nursery, one of the best nurseries here in the Bluffton area. Thank you so much for jumping on camera with me, kind of impromptu, Andrew.
Yes, this is Andrew with Southern Marsh Nursery. I hope you guys are staying warm, but we're going to talk a little bit about what is this cold doing with the plant material and everything else like that. So right behind me, this is something what a lot of citrus farmers do, a lot of orchards and stuff like that. They will run their irrigation all night to coat their plant with ice. Once it gets coated, that temperature of the leaf will not drop any lower. So a lot of people feel that coating your plant with the ice will help protect that plant. This is the first time we have done it at the nursery. We did it on a lot of citrus behind us to see how it performs. But as you see, it got fairly cold last night, and we built up a lot of ice accumulation on the plant material. So this is one way to protect it. Another way to protect your citrus is by putting the old Christmas lights on it, wrapping a lot of them, keeping it on all night to keep that temperature up. So you could do that. There are chances that your plants will not survive this cold temperature, especially if we have a lot. Having one day like this, most of them will be able to handle it. If we start having multiple days, they will not be able to handle it. More of your tropical plants. Don't plant any perennials right now this time of year because they won't be able to take root until summertime, and most of the time they don't have enough to come out of the dormancy to survive through the winter. So if you're looking at planting anything, plant your shrubs, trees, your hardier plants. Another way to protect your plants is by putting frost blankets on. These are frost blankets right here. And you can see that we covered a lot of split leaf philodendron. As you see, the split leaf philodendron did not get damaged last night from the frost. We've kept these on 2 days straight. We'll probably pull them off today. It looks like the temperatures will warm up. We do have frost blankets coming in later this week, so hopefully we have them before it gets cold again. Good luck at protecting everything. Come see us at Southern Marsh Nursery if you guys have any more questions. Thank you.
So if people are moving here from New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, somewhere like that, and it doesn't get this cold very often, it just kind of snaps in and out of these cold spells, are there any plants that they should absolutely avoid, like don't even bother here?
Yeah, so I mean, you have your Thai sisters, your crotons. A lot of people get crotons for decoration around the fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween. We've had many people come in and say, oh, we need 4 more crotons. We bought everything the last nursery had. Then we'll say, you do realize once we get a frost, these do not come back in the spring. It is strictly a tropical plant. They do great down in Florida. And the croton is the one with the orange, green, very fall looking. Your Thai sister, it has purple on it. And I have a few left up here that I'll show you. These are your Thai sisters plants. We did not protect them. We only have 4 left. We do sell down on this plant so we don't have to carry it through the winter. In Florida, they will grow all year round. They look great, but up here, it's not very likely they will come back after hard freezes. They will die. Your Stramantha, same thing. Most of your ferns will come back. They're gonna die down to the ground, come back. Your lantana, your blue days. That is all a hardier perennial if you get planted earlier in the year, not this time of year. A lot of contractors will put down, if they're doing your install, that, hey, if the temperatures drop to this, or if it's after this date, we will not plant these plants. We'll come back in the spring and plant them. So those are a few things I would watch out for. A lot of people get lists off Etsy, off all these other sites. They'll bring them in, show them to us. We'll be like, that plant does not grow here. Either it gets too hot in the summertime here or it gets too cold. What zone is this? A lot of people are asking me, oh, we're zone 8A, 8B. That's very hard because right now these temperatures are actually zone 7 that we're having. In the summertime, we're having temperatures that are common in zone 9. A lot of people will say, well, we average those out and do this. That is correct. That's how you come up with your zones. The problem is your tropical plants like this one is a zone 9 and it does great in the summer, but it's really not categories to here. Your zone 8 plants, a lot of those do good, but if we drop down to these cold temperatures for a long period, it's more like a zone 7 plant. The problem with some of those lower zones, they don't like to survive in the hot heat, like your rhododendrons. An azalea is a rhododendron, but it does great here. But your true rhododendron will not survive down in this area because we are just too warm in the summertime.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for jumping on camera. I really appreciate it. And where can people find you if they want to come meet you?
So we are at 2 different locations. We have a location in Port Wentworth, Georgia, and one in Bluffton, South Carolina. We are off 46, 190 May River Road, and in Port Wentworth, we are on Highway 30 and 21. Give us a call if you guys want. Come down and see us. We're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Closed on Sunday. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, it is about noon, and I took a break to get some lunch. And since it's a cold day, one of my favorite places to go is Saigon Cafe and get some pho soup. So let me turn this camera around and show you what I'm having for lunch. Oh, yeah. Doesn't that look
tasty?
Beautiful? I can't wait to get into that. So while I'm sitting here getting ready to have some nice warm soup, I thought I would read some interesting statistics that I learned about winter weather here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. So it says that we have around between 20 and 30 days per year where the weather actually dips down below freezing, which is 32 degrees. And here's some other statistics. Now, keep in mind, it dips below freezing, usually overnight or early in the morning. And like right now, it's noon and we're up to 50 degrees. And I think that's pretty typical. If we do get those cold temperatures, that it's gonna get up and get warmer in the afternoon. Average winter highs. So during the winter, average daytime highs in Bluffton and Hilton Head is between 58 and 65 degrees. That's the average. Average lows, overnight winter temperatures usually average between 38 and 45 degrees overnight. Those are your average. Snowfall, get this, over the past 10 years, there's been less than ½ an inch of snow per decade. Okay, so you're not going to get snow here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. The coldest month, January is typically the coldest month with average highs of 59 degrees and lows of 39 degrees. And things that you might want to be concerned with, but not very much, are freezing precipitation. So freezing rain and sleet are more likely than snow, but they're still extremely rare, only occurring during major cold air intrusions. And record lows here. The lowest temperature ever recorded in Hilton Head was 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and that was back in 1985. And really, some of the wind chill that you get here is because we're near the ocean, so sometimes you get coastal breezes that can make temperatures feel colder than they actually are. But wind chill factors very rarely dip into what we would consider dangerous temperatures. So with that being said, I thought you would enjoy those winter facts, and I am going to go ahead and get started on my pho soup, and we'll talk again after lunch. All right, so I'm here with Wesley, and we are at Southern Drawl Outfitters. So this is a fishing store and also an outfitter store. You guys take people out fishing all around the Lowcountry, inshore, offshore, and everything in between, fair to say?
Yeah, we do mostly inshore, nearshore stuff. We do have some guys that'll do offshore stuff, but we mostly stick to the inshore, nearshore game.
You guys do a lot of fly fishing too, right?
We do, yeah. Yeah, we have a couple guides, myself, and then Graham Cotter as well. They're the fly guides of the shop, so we do the inshore, shallow water stuff
Cool.
artificial.
So we've got a little cold snap going on here, and that's sort of the topic of this video is this cold weather we had in the 20s last night, and we're about 50 degrees right now. How's that affect you guys as fishing guides and the fishing in general in the low country?
Honestly, if you don't mind being cold, it's honestly not a bad thing. Something we commonly get asked is how the cold weather affects the fishing, and it actually really positively affects red fishing for what I do and then our other guys that run bay boats. It has a positive effect on targeting redfish, which is, I would say, our main species that we target this time of year, because when the water temp gets cold, when the air temp starts to drop like it's doing right now, the redfish tend to get in really big schools, and a lot of the bait fish that's been around in a surplus the entire year is starting to dwindle now, and so the redfish are basically just going into a feeding frenzy. When the water temp gets cold, they get in big schools and they really start to eat, and they get shallow. So it's great for sight fishing, great for bait fishing from a bay boat, however you want to do it, it's really good.
That's awesome. So do you guys, without giving away any trade secrets, do you use anything different for bait when the temperatures change, or is it still pretty much the same game plan?
As far as what we do in the fly and artificial realm, it's pretty subtle things. You know, you may downsize the artificial baits that you're using, so maybe go from a 4 or 5 inch paddle tail that you could throw in the warmer months to a 3 inch or 2.5 inch bait, downsizing a little bit, and then color changes, throw more natural colors. Same thing for the fly. You know, once we get into this time of year, you probably start to throw more natural colored flies and maybe downsize the size of the fly a little bit. And as far as the guys that are bait fishing, it doesn't change a ton. I mean, you know, guys are still fishing mud minnows, cut mullet, and they will start to throw artificials more on their boats as well, just because it produces really well. So small changes, but
So we only get maybe 20 days a year here in the South Carolina Lowcountry that dip below freezing. You know, that's overnight and in the morning. Are there ever any days that you guys don't go out, or are you fishing 365 regardless of the temperature?
temperature usually is not as much of a concern. It's just enjoyable. It's depending on how enjoyable it's going to be. So if you have one of those days where it is going to be in the 30s and 40s, but it's also gusting 30 miles an hour, that may be a day where we consider trying to rebook, just because it's not going to be too pleasant to be out there. So the cold temps, as far as the fishing go, like I said, it's good right now, but it's really just a comfortability thing. So.
And you guys have some awesome clothes and gear in here. So if they want to gear up and prepare for a cold day, are you just telling them to layer up, or how are they getting prepared?
Yeah, really just dressing appropriately. A lot of times you see people just tend to bundle up and wear a lot of clothes, which is not really the approach you need. It's really about what you're wearing, having the right base layer that's made out of the right material, your mid layer, and then a shell to block the wind. You really don't need a ton of clothes. It's just more so about what you're wearing.
Cool. And so a lot of people that watch this channel, they're thinking about moving here. You know, they're watching from New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, maybe even California. We've had people come from Dubai. We've had people come from Europe. And so if they love to fish, but they've never fished in the low country, I always tell them to, number one, hire a local captain, because the waterways are a little funky around here with the sandbars. And also to go out with a fishing guide for a while to kind of learn the species and learn everything. Is there any other advice that you'd have for folks if they're, new to the low country and they love fishing or they want to get into fishing?
I would say exactly what you said, honestly. Go out with the guide, because we do get a lot of people here who come in and they've attempted to learn the area on their own, and it can be challenging. I mean, we have really big tide swings, which, especially if you come from fishing freshwater, to go from that where the water's not really moving, if you're fishing lakes or still bodies of water, to come here and you have a 7.5 foot tide swing every day in 6 hours, it's a drastic difference. So come in here, talk to us. I mean, we're always willing to give people pointers on how to target things, but it's always the easiest to just go out with the guide and see how they operate, just to figure things out, give yourself a little jump start. So I would certainly recommend that.
Cool. So if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you online, and then where can they find you if they want to come visit y'all here?
So southerndrawloutfitters.com if you want to check the site. That has all of us listed, all of the guides. And then we're in Moss Creek Plaza, 1533 Fording Island Road. So if you're looking to get geared up, we have everything you need here. Since all of us, like I said, we do inshore and nearshore stuff, our shop caters towards that. We have a fly room so we can get you set up, everything you need for fly fishing for redfish. If you're looking to bait fish, we have the rods and reels for that, clothing as well. So come see us. Like I said, don't be afraid to go fish this time of year. Don't let the cold weather turn you off, because this is some of the best fishing. If people ask when should I come fish down there, especially if they want to target redfish, I tell them October through January, and December is probably my favorite month of the year. So
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
let it stop you.
Yeah, it's actually pretty pleasant out there. The summertime it can get pretty brutal. So
Yeah, it gets pretty toasty. It's a nice break from the heat. That's the nice thing, is that we actually get some cooler temperatures. So
nice. And for all you northern folks watching, Southern Drawl, that's spelled DRAWL. So
correct.
Southern Drawl, referring to the way we speak down here.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Thanks for jumping on
Yeah,
camera, man.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, guys, that's a wrap. That's the end of my workday. I hope you enjoyed hearing about how cold does it get here in Bluffton, South Carolina, and in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We learned a little bit about precautions you should take. We learned a little bit about things you can enjoy even when it's cold. And hopefully you understand that cold weather, we get little cold snaps here and there, but it's really not that big a deal. Cold weather is a great opportunity to have an oyster roast, or go have a warm bowl of soup, or some hot chocolate, or roast marshmallows by the fire. And this is the way I love to end a cold day. So it's about 6 o'clock in the evening here. We're just getting into December, and we started out in the low 20-degree weather, like 28, 29. We got up to about 55, and here at 6 p.m., we're back down into the low 40s. But anyway, that's about as rough as it gets for cold weather-wise here, and I hope you enjoyed that. Of course, if I can help you find your low country lifestyle, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, or you can even book a Zoom call, all in the description below. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest happening here, be sure and like, subscribe, and tap that bell for notifications so you'll be the first to know every time I drop a new video. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you today. I hope to meet you in person at some point, but if not, I will at least see you on the next video.